Yes, another New Year's Day special. I feel stupid now. I should have... Wait, those are fallen logs? They don't look like logs at all. They look like oversized 2x4s. Oh well, whatever. At least I get Silver Wind TM, not the best move out there. But, hey, free stuff. Hooray! But, yeah, should have done a double program instead. But the thing is that the suspect testing results have been up for a few days now, and I actually haven't noticed them until just now. So that means that's why I'm actually doing another video today. And just give me a second, because gotta be something there. Oh yeah, big mushroom. Not very useful, but oh well. Once again, free stuff. Hooray! But, yeah, the results have been up for a few days because the fate of each individual Pokemon had been sealed by the first 51 votes, so there was no need to wait for the rest. And it's raining right now on Route 212, which is very appropriate considering this is going to be our main subject of conversation today. Rain, that is. But yeah, the suspect test results are in, and this is, of course, very important for not just high-level competitive battlers, but also everyone who battles at lower levels and wishes to abide by a certain rule set. So, yeah, the results. Sky Shaman has actually managed to score a unanimous vote of 51-0 in favor of it going to Ubers. This is a first in the history of suspect testing. You know, it really doesn't belong in Overused when it gets a unanimous verdict. And Darkrai and Fire Red Deoxys also came very, very close to getting a unanimous vote. And, oh wow, a Monferno under the rain? This has got to be the most incompetent ranger ever. Well, you know what that means? You know what that means? Here comes his Fire Monkey's dad! Okay, so now that that's out of the way, as I was saying, Fire Red Deoxys and Darkrai also came very close to unanimous verdicts, so straight to Ubers they go as well, and I don't think anyone is going to complain about that. Next we got Ruby and Sapphire Deoxys, which managed to go all the way to Ubers with a verdict that was just over 70%. Remember, you need 2/3 of the vote to go to Ubers instantly. So, yeah, Ruby and Sapphire Deoxys goes to Ubers, and I'm a bit surprised that they were so hasty in banning it, because the thing is, I think we can all agree it's just a slightly weaker version of the Fire Red form, but since it's a bit weaker, I think it would have been a wise idea to test it in an environment where Fire Red Deoxys wasn't there, just to see if it was really worth a ban, because I'm not sure many of the people who voted used Ruby Sapphire Deoxys or faced one all that often. So, yeah, I'm not complaining because I think it would have ended up being banned anyway, especially since Fire Red Deoxys came close to a unanimous verdict, but oh well, not complaining at all about that. And at the other end of the spectrum, we got Latios and Doryuzu, who failed to get a majority, and it wasn't close either, so we're going to need to re-nominate them for those people who want to see them become Uber. Now, there was one Pokemon that got a majority, but not a super majority. Much to my surprise, Manaphy. I thought for sure that with the presence of Politoed and also the boost to Tail Glow that it would go instantly, but no, didn't even get the super majority. So what this means in a nutshell is that Smogon has placed itself in a very delicate situation. Let me explain. Right now we got two Pokemon that are on the bubble and that will come back automatically into the voting next round. Politoed and Manaphy. Now it's possible that Manaphy isn't broken with Politoed around, but it's also possible that Politoed isn't broken without Manaphy around. So we could possibly end up banning both, regardless of how the other fares, or keeping both. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, opinion. Feel free to disagree, and many of you probably will, but I think Manaphy should be the one to go first. And let me explain. I think we can all agree that Manaphy is a huge force. Whether it deserves to be Uber, well, I thought it wasn't in doubt, but the results of the voting show the contrary. But basically how it goes is we can either ban the Rain Inducer or the Rain Abusers. And beyond Manaphy, there's only one Abuser, I think. Oh, okay, this is route 212 north, is it? Yeah, so I'm gonna head back a little bit because there was that one last little corner that I forgot to explore. I thought I was still far enough from the northern part of the route, but I guess it was right there. So anyway, as I was saying, beyond Manaphy, there's one Abuser of Rain that could really pose a problem when it comes to balance, and that would be Kingdraw. And personally, although it sounds a little weird that I'd want to ban 2 Pokemon instead of just 1, I would ban Manaphy first, and then, if we need to, I'd ban Kingdraw as well. Because the thing is that Politoed also makes a lot of other stuff that would otherwise suck. It makes them usable. For example, Kabutops. No one ever bothered using it prior to having an Auto Rain Inducer, because Kabutops has Swift Swim, and right now it makes for a very, very interesting sweeper. And the thing is that, yeah, you got many of these Pokemon that are made viable by the sole presence of Drizzle Politoed. So, I think getting rid of Politoed, by getting rid of it, you also get rid of all those Pokemon that would otherwise suck. Whereas, by getting rid of just Manaphy and possibly Kingdraw, you would maintain Rain as a viable tactic, especially compared to Sandstorm and to a lesser extent Sun, without making it utterly broken. And that's what I'm trying to get to here, because if we ban Politoed, we're gonna see a hell of a lot more Sandstorm than in the past, and then we'd get an extra incentive to ban Doryuzu. So that's why I think just banning the Rain Abusers would prevent us from ending up on that slippery slope, if you will. But the problem is that right now, both Manaphy and Politoed are very close to a ban. All they need is a simple majority. They already got one, and it wouldn't be too far-fetched to assume that they would be able to obtain another one next round, especially since, well, had Manaphy been banned right away, there would be an argument for Politoed not being as broken anymore, so it would fail to get that majority. But unfortunately, that's not the way it came out. And just as a side note, by the way, back to the game, the policemen here are just like in Gold, Silver, Crystal. You can only fight them at night, because all kinds of suspicious characters wander around at night, whereas in broad daylight, it's a lot more buff. I'm not going to try and make sense of that, because a lot of criminals do their thing in broad daylight too. Whatever, not going to try and make sense of this. But, yeah, the thing is that now we got both Politoed and Manaphy that are going to be up for voting next time, and as a result, they could both get a majority to ban them to Ubers because of the other's presence. Because, as I said, one may be not as broken if the other is gone. So I really wonder how Smogon's going to handle that situation. I don't think the voting is going to take place in the same way it just did, because otherwise you might get a lot of people complaining, myself included, to be honest, because I would like for, one of them to be banned and for the other to be given a fair chance with the other gone. And if it was up to me, Manaphy would be the one to go, but whatever. Once again, feel free to disagree. Anyway, this mansion here, okay, we can't look at the statues, and yeah, this is the Pokemon mansion. No, not the same one as in Cinnabar. It's Mr. Backlot's mansion. Mr. Backlot is a rich guy with a freaking huge mansion and a garden in the back where wild Pokemon come. It's just, a regular area of tall grass. And once you get the National Dex, you can get the special non-Sinnoh Dex Pokemon to appear in that trophy garden there. And I'm trying to think of examples, but I don't really remember. You can look it up on Cerebi if you like. But yeah, that's only once you get the national dex, because the game won't let you get non-Sinnoh Dex Pokemon other than by trading until you get the national dex. So yeah, it's a very nice way to fill your national dex coming here once you get it. And the way it works is that on the first day you come here after you get the national dex, you talk to Mr. Backlot, and he's going to tell you of a rare kind of Pokemon that lurks in the garden. You go in the garden, and then you have a chance of meeting that Pokemon. Now, that Pokemon will stay there the next day as well. However, if you go to Mr. Backlot on day 2, he will tell you of another kind of Pokemon that can be found in the garden, so you can find 2 rare kinds of Pokemon in the garden instead of just the one from day 2. So that's basically how it works. And a very interesting trick is that the species is only chosen when you talk to Mr. Backlot for the first time on that day. So if you talk to Mr. Backlot and you're not happy with the species you get on that day, you can simply soft reset the game and talk to Backlot again, and he is going to tell you of another species, or the same one if you get unlucky. But it's a trick that, unlike so many instances in the game, actually works. And yes, this is the trophy garden. As you can see, there's not much, just a whole bunch of tall grass. And why does he have that garden, you ask? Well, simply because he loves Pokemon so very, very much. You know, kind of like those Pokemon fan club presidents. Though I don't know if that guy would be nuts enough to sleep with a Rapidash, especially in the, no doubt, very expensive bed he has. Yeah, why bother traveling afar? Oh yeah, that guy thinks very highly of himself, of course. Pokemon love me! And yeah, as I said, you can only get special Pokemon there after you get a national dex, so of course he's gonna say the same thing. And got his butler here. Wow, well, that guy really is a saint. I don't know if I could tolerate having so many people just barge into my mansion like that. We know it looks gorgeous, but please refrain from touching the statue. That would be disgusting. Do you know where that statue's been? Backlot's been sleeping with that statue! In his bed! Okay, fine, go ahead, touch it. Don't say we didn't warn you. Oh God, my throat. I'm going to think twice before impersonating Eggman ever again. And yes, this book here is very important for filling the national dex, because it's the only way you're going to get Manaphy recorded as seen. And since you need everything in the Sinnoh Dex recorded as seen in order to get the national dex, well, you absolutely need to come here and see that book. But anyway, another attraction here at the mansion, only in Platinum, however. Diamond and Pearl players are out of luck. Anyway, there's a little mini-game involving 5 maids, and unfortunately that's not a 6-sum, if that's what you were thinking about. It's a little mini-game that involves beating 5 maids in a certain exact number of turns. For example, you gotta beat the 5 maids in, let's say, 8 turns, for example, and we're talking about all 5 maids combined here. And it's a bit tricky. A Sooth Bell? Didn't I already have one of these? But anyway, regardless, all 5 maids only have a Clefairy that varies between level 25 and level 33, but those Clefairies like to use Endure, so that makes it a whole lot more challenging, because you really have no control over when they're going to use Endure, so that can be a problem. But if you succeed in beating those 5 maids in the exact amount of turns required, you're going to get to fight a rich boy or a lady chosen at random, I believe. And those two use a Blissey at level 35, which carries a rare candy. So you gotta steal it, but you gotta do it before they fling the rare candy at you, because we're talking about fling Blissey here, just to piss you off a little further. Okay, no, I'm not gonna take it right now. I promise I'm going to take it in the next video, however. Will I be able to withstand the Endure machine gun with my sanity intact? Join me next time to find out.